Good evening and welcome to Legal Tech Live, episode 40. I'm Nick Rishwin. 40. It's really quite a bit more than that, gentlemen, but unfortunately, in the transformation of platforms, we had lost some of our content, and you don't want people to lose their contracts. That's why you guys maintain them in the cloud. Our guests tonight, first of all, who are you, Ivan?
My name is Ivan Rakelin. You didn't even introduce yourself.
I didn't?
Ivan Rakelin and Nick Rishwin tonight hosting episode 40 of Legal Tech Live.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to you and give a quick intro, and then we'll jump into it.
Yeah, so our guests tonight are Lawrence Thunis and make sure I get it right, Jerome Maldens. Is that correct? Did I get it, Jerome?
It's around about correct, yeah.
Okay, and I'll ask you to give us the correct pronunciation.
Jerome.
It's Jeroen, actually.
Jeroen.
Okay,
Jeroen, thank you. So these are the creators and co-founders of Lexigogo, the Lexigogo app, which Ivan and I downloaded and played with today. It is a mobile app to make binding video contracts anytime, anywhere. Lexigogo allows users to create video contracts to validate simple agreements without the hassle of creating written ones.
Before we continue, are you sharing this to Facebook?
It's going in a second. It's on its way there now. We actually lost connection for a minute. Oh, it doesn't. Maybe it's not going to play fair there. Yeah, it's going in a minute, Ivan. So please continue. Gentlemen, tell us a little bit about yourselves as I share this over to Facebook. How did you guys get involved in legal tech?
Yeah, maybe I'll introduce myself first, right?
Please.
So I'm my background is in investment banking. It still is partially today. And initially Lawrence came up with the idea. So he walked up to me and we started talking about getting probably investors, etc. And I told him, yeah, but this idea is like, it's amazing. Let's do this together. And from there on we started. I think that Lawrence can tell a little bit more about himself and maybe how the idea came into his head.
All right, Lawrence, let's hear it.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you guys for having us. I think you guys are doing great stuff.
You guys are waking up. What time is it over there, Lawrence?
It's 3 a.m. We're based here in Brussels, Belgium, so Europe. So we made quite an effort for you guys.
You did make quite an effort, and we are grateful for it, but you do have a great product. We had a little fun testing it out today. So Lawrence, tell us how you got involved, how you got started on this project. We are live to Facebook now, gentlemen.
Very good. So my background is in biotech and in small pharma. So for most of my career, I've been involved in growing and setting up biotech companies and small pharma companies. But since a few years, I'm also involved in other sectors. And it was for one of the other projects about a year and a half ago. I was actually in a restaurant having a business dinner, and about the potential collaboration I was making at that time. And the business dinner went very well, and at the end of the evening, we reached some kind of terms and agreements which we wanted to, in some way, validate or secure. But it was getting late on the evening. We also had some wine and things like that. And that was the first time I thought about recording an agreement with the camera on the smartphone.
Now, when was this? What year and month?
That was about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
It was in the summer of 2017. Before that, a little bit before that.
So okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, I was like thinking about ways how to do it with the video, because it poses a number of issues if you would if we would make a video contract. Like I would use my smartphone and the camera which is on the smartphone. If you think about it, it poses a number of questions, of issues. Like I would have the video. If we film it, I would have the video. I would have to send the video to you, which I would have to. then if I would send it to you, you would have a video, I would have a video, and then we could both manipulate it or alter it. And then the question is, okay, who has the authentic version of the video? There's also no explicit acceptance then in that case of the video. So there are a number of issues or problems that arise with that, with that setting. And that's how I came up with the whole workflow of Lexigogo as it is today, which is also pretty unique. It's not just like just saying that it's not just making a video and then sending it over. There's more behind the whole concept.
There is more behind the whole concept, and that's what so obviously we were excited to have you guys on here because Ivan and I have been doing the live streaming for quite a few years now, and so video contracts seem to be, a perfect fit for our show. But the really interesting thing is when I went through the process of creating a contract, which Ivan declined as he is apt to do. He declined it, but I created.
No, one of them I accepted and the other one I declined.
Oh, did you accept? I didn't see the accepted one yet. So
right, I just wanted to see I wanted to see the path in both versions.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I create a video just for our viewers, and we do have Jason Velez visiting us over on Facebook, who was wondering, the question is, did you go to bed early or did you just stay awake for this? That was one of Jason's questions in the Facebook group.
There was some doubt because there's always a pretty nice after work party on Thursday close by, but we decided to sleep for a couple of hours and then get back to the office. But it was penny on the side.
Excellent. So for our viewers, our listeners, replay live viewers or replay listeners, what I do is I create a video. I then send it over to Ivan. I didn't want to bother Lawrence, who was I'm also connected to, but I thought, well, in case he's not awake, I don't want this thing ringing off the hook yet. So I didn't.
Well, there's a notification system behind it, so I heard your notification coming in. So. Oh,
you did hear it, okay. But so I create a video asking Ivan to join and co-host Legal Tech Live episode 40 tonight, and I said the date, etc., and I sent it to him. And then on your end, Ivan, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, so I receive an alert, and then I just respond with, well, first of all, you had to set up a profile. Your address, your name, profile picture, and then I respond with an accept. And that was really it. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, I accepted after watching the video.
After watching the video and seeing the terms that I set forth.
Right.
And what that should do then, Lawrence, and your own, is that it should go then into my effective folder, correct?
Well, first you also have to accept it, So
I have to counter accept.
You have to counter accept. Just like there's a lot of similarities, like with the pen and paper world, with the handwritten contract, is that you send it over to Ivan. Ivan looks at it and either accepts it or decline it. We will add some new features with respect to that, but we can talk more about that a little bit later. And then Ivan sends it back. If he accepts it with his password, he sends it back to you. And then you have to indeed countersign it, and it's only at that stage when both parties have explicitly accepted it, signed it, electronically signed it, that it becomes legally binding as well. And it's
all right, Nick. I got to take over. I got a few questions I want to ask, if you don't mind here. So first off, let's start off with the naming. Why did you choose Lexigogo?
Well, that's actually, that comes from Latin, because lex is law, means law in Latin. And then it's, so law, go, because both people have to say go and go. And we didn't want to give it a too corporate name, because we were looking for something that is easy in the mouth and something that you can turn into a verb. So Lexigogo, this is like, it's soft, easy, and it's a name that some people think we're talking about a go-go dancer when.
No, actually, as a lawyer,
But
the
the
other
thing is,
question I had, are either one of you lawyers?
it's sticky and catchy.
It is catchy. It is catchy. Ivan, I think there was a delay there in your last question.
No, what I was going to say is, for me as an attorney, I associate it with LexisNexis, which is a search database for the legal profession. So at least in the United States, it does have that connotation because, you know, Lexi does mean law in Latin.
It's the same here in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, or either one of you have a background in law?
I studied law in university, amongst other things. Yeah.
So that's you give the perspective of what constitutes a contract, the offer, offeree, and
yeah, most of it. And what we also have, we've got a board of advisors, which has some big shot lawyers in it.
Oh, okay.
And in our shareholdership, there's also one guy that used to be a big corporate lawyer. So.
Okay, so they're advising you
to
you're hitting.
Yeah, because I felt like it. Ivan and I both have legal backgrounds, and I felt like you guys did a pretty good job of covering the offer, the acceptance, you know, stating the terms, and then giving us a way to memorialize the contract. And for our live viewers, replay viewers, I do encourage you to download it and test it out. You can add me if you want to do just a kind of a simple contract. Add me as a connection and send, and we'll send and receive and test it out. Because I want to tell you guys this. I think Ivan and I are both in agreement. The process, the app itself, and the interface was very smooth.
Thanks. That's great to hear.
It was very smooth. I had at one point a little bit of a slow upload on my video contract to Ivan. Yeah. But then it picked up and it went pretty smooth. That could have been my Wi-Fi connection. I'm not sure, but very easy to use, very self-explanatory. I like that as soon as I download and log in, you have your little tutorial video, which explains exactly what it does. Made it very easy from a user standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
We've put a lot of work and time into making it as user friendly as possible, because what we are essentially trying to do here is taking the hassle of contracting of written contracts away. Actually, we're just gonna sit in the middle, because today there's, to a verbal agreement, there's no real alternative. That gives you some power if you go in front of a judge, for example, and we have a verbal agreement, and if Nick, for example, says, yeah, but actually I didn't say that, then that's pretty worthless, right? Mm-hmm. On the other hand, of the spectrum, there are written contracts, but they take a lot of time. It's not, most of the time, not very cost efficient. It's not that fun to write them, and then there's 1.6 billion people that cannot read nor write, so they are out. And we were very surprised to learn that in Europe, we don't have the figures for the US, but in Europe at least, there's 1 out of 6 people that is functionally illiterate. So they can read and write, but they don't understand what they are reading or writing. So let alone understanding complicated contracts and texts, etc. So our idea was to bring it back to basics, make it easy, make it fast, make it simple, and make it on the spot, what millennials especially want today. Like, and we see that with a lot of applications. And therefore, it was for us very important to make it very user-friendly and easy and fast to use. So happy to hear that you've experienced that.
And I think so that gives us a few questions to go with. Your target market. I'm interested in kind of target market, adoption, but it sounds. I'm going to lead with this question. It sounds like you have with your 1.6 billion. Was it functionally illiterate? Is that what you called it?
No, illiterate. 1.6 billion people are illiterate, so they cannot read nor write, and 1 out of 6 people in Europe, so I don't.
But it's the same. It's the same figure in the US. It's like about 1 out of 6.
So it sounds to me as though you guys have sort of as a leading component of your vision is an access to justice component.
Access to justice and just simplifying stuff. Because today, like if you would make one of our use cases, just to give you an example, is for example is Airbnb. Airbnb, whenever they come in the news, and they're not happy to hear this probably, whenever they come in the news, it's because somebody broke something in somebody else's room or they left a mess, right? So what you could do today, and then there's the whole discussion in the press, it was already like this or it was not like that yet. So what they can do today is they can download Lexigogo. Whenever I, for example, rent Nick's apartment and he's on a holiday sitting on the beach in Ibiza because there's remote access to his apartment, I come in, I film the place. It would take me like 20-30 seconds. I will point out there's something wrong here, there's something wrong there. Nick's laying
so much more efficient to video than actually take pictures of an item.
It goes faster. And if you have to describe this in writing, it takes 30 minutes.
Right.
And Nick cannot verify it. He can just be on the beach, take his phone, check the video. It's like, yeah, okay, Jerome, that's exactly how I left it. He signs it, I get it back, I sign it, we're fine. And I do the same when I exit, and we've got proof of how I entered and how we went out.
Yes, I always use this phrase. So a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a moving picture, a video is worth 30,000 words a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and it's not only video, because we call it video contracts, but in the example of Jeroen with Airbnb, if you go into a flat and, for example, you see that there's a chair broken or whatever, you can actually describe it verbally with the voice, and you can even point it out with your finger. You can make gestures as well.
So it's narrate. So you could narrate the video that you're. Yeah.
Exactly. So you bring far more content and far more detail to an agreement or a transaction.
It's much more precise.
Yeah, and it's way faster. If you would have to do this in writing, it takes ages.
Yeah, and you have to fill out the form and make sure you fill out all the sections of the form. Yeah, that's if a form is available. So who do you think your target market is on this? I feel like I'm just outside the millennial age group.
Yeah.
But I feel like those of us in our age group and below are going to adopt this type of technology much quicker than potentially our parents' age group. But who is the target market? Is it a younger generation?
Well, yeah. That's what, we have now an initial user base, so people that are using it. And we started off when we launched it we launched the latest version in October. So it's pretty new. It's very recent. Mainly with friends and family, and then other people, more and more people get involved. There are people which are using it for vacation rentals like Airbnb in the sharing economy.
So when did you launch? When did the app launch initially?
The really first version was in September. And then we did
this year,
and that was in October of this year.
Yeah, this year.
This year, so it's only like 6 weeks or 7 weeks, like
to give you a timeline. We incorporated to the company in October 2017.
Right.
Then we had absolutely nothing then. Well, apart from the ID worked out, etc. But absolutely nothing. Then we raised funds in November. And then we launched the first version September, and then in November we were on Web Summit in Lisbon, which you might know, where we were part of a pitch contest, and there we did our international launch with the limited funds that we have today, and today we are looking at doing the marketing rollout on a more international level. So it's pretty fresh.
Now, do you have plans to incorporate a payment system?
Yeah. We have plenty of ideas, because what you have now, what people can see now, is the MVP, which is already which is already quite solid because, you know, the reason is, you know, it's a legal app. It's an app to make legal commitments. So, you know, it cannot be like quick and dirty kind of thing.
Right.
So we really put sufficient thoughts in there and sufficient time, development time in there to make it, you know, to make it simple, to make it straightforward, to make it solid, robust. And we think that we achieved in that very rapidly, as Jeroen said. The thing is that we now have to, well, we now have like 101 ideas to further complement the app and to add new features. And one of the things is that that's what we're developing right now, is to include kind of a payment system.
And then maybe like a Facebook, Google login as well, right?
Yeah, we're gonna, you know, we're simplifying right now the login as well, because, you know, we got a lot of very, very positive feedback from users that are using it. But we also get some feedback, you know, on how to further improve the existing features, but also, you know, how to add new, what kind of new features we could add. So we're really listening to the market.
Yeah,
you know, and
we're constantly looking at how to improve the UX, like onboarding people. Does this take too long to log in? How can we do this faster? What's essential? What's not? But always keeping in mind the legality.
Yeah.
Of things, because that's something we don't want to give in 1 millimeter on that, because it's the core of the app is the legality. And
as Jason Velez says here in the Facebook chat, he said he thinks the power of your app is providing clarity regarding the party's intent, and the verbal intent. Especially when you can show that to a court if necessary, or a mediator or somebody like that.
It provides so much more context in the non-verbal cues.
And also, yeah, exactly. And the fact that you have the video, the fact that you add this context, we believe will also prevent a lot of disputes afterwards, you know, and will prevent a lot of, you know, embarrassing situations or even legal conflicts, you know, because if you can really show it. And you can show the intent of the people. You can show the context.
Yeah.
It's much more powerful than some written contracts. You know.
Yeah. And as you guys know, as legal experts, there is a lot of lawyers make a lot of money on challenging the intent of somebody, or the spirit or the light in which a contract has been created. But if you can see live the way it went, it becomes a little bit more complicated to challenge that.
Much more difficult to challenge that.
No, I like this. This is very simple, clean MVP. Now, as you move forward with the additional features, what's your monetization strategy?
And that's something we're developing right now, in terms on paper as well as on, you know, we started with the technical layout as well. That will be based on a combination of a subscription model, as well as a per use case, you know, and that will depend. That might even depend from region to region, because we did some focus groups even before we launched the app, and one of the remarkable feedback we got from that is that people are willing to pay for that. Yeah, because it's important.
Pay per contract.
Per contract, yeah.
That's been executed. Okay.
Yeah, so we will always have like some kind of a free version there for people that don't use it a lot, that use it like
once or twice. Yeah.
But you know, they might, you know, we have someone who's using it like a car salesperson who's using it like almost on a daily basis right now.
Oh wow!
And
for launched in September, how many users do you have? If you want to discuss that yet.
We have I think it's around 100 active users.
Okay.
Which is growing now every day. Yeah. So it's like it was, you know, we didn't push it yet very heavily on the marketing and on the promotion side, but that's what we're going to do as from January.
Yeah.
But it's 100 active users, and they're like very, very useful for us right now to get feedback and to see how they use it and to hear from them. And then one of the things that we learned from them is to answer Nick's question on the age, on the demographics, or is that it's really the people in the age range of like 20 to 35, 40 that are using it a lot. You know, I'm like also on the edge of that age range, and you really see that if you look at the millennial, at the younger generation, they're really using it a lot for a lot of stuff. Really a lot.
I think the classificator is that the people that are using it are probably the people that use their phone most of the time, and there can be people that are 50-year-old and that they are tech savvy, or they are constantly using their phone, and where the use of the phone is top of mind, let's say, those people they will probably be the catalyst to start using it, and people that don't think about using their phone too much, then probably they won't think about it too much. So we're not very eager to point out certain ages, but probably it speaks for itself that a millennial, they have like a phone is part of their body almost. So
yeah, and I don't mean to say that that certain demographics won't use it. I just kind of wondered at the target audience for the initial uptake. I know plenty of tech savvy folks in older demographics. Ivan being one of those, as long as I can continue to say that, which will be.
Hey, I was born on Leap Day, so I'm 10 and a half years old.
That's right. You're only 10 and a half years old.
Here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You're the youngest one here.
Yeah.
No, but so give us a couple other use cases. The vacation rentals, buying and selling cars. I just sold
lending money between family and friends. It's a 90 billion market in the US apparently. So, and there's a lot of litigation coming from that. When you lend money to Ivan, for example, you're not going to ask him to well, probably you might, but you're not going to ask him to write that down or get a written confirmation from it. As long as we talk about $200, $300, $400, $500, that's probably just going to pass like that. But there's a lot of trouble coming from that within families, with friends, etc. But using this application it's soft and easy. So the barrier to just filming it fast, like you would make a selfie almost, that passes by easier, and you don't they're not gonna see you as the guy that wants to write everything down and that's always nagging, etc. So yeah. That's one of the use cases. There's rental cars. There's plumbers, for example, and in construction working. There's a lot of disputes coming from there. For example, somebody has to drill somewhere, and you told your wife, don't drill on the right corner, but then the guy comes in the evening and you're not there, and she's like, but I could maybe put a plant there or something. So just drill in the left wall, but you set right wall because there's a cable in the left wall, and then all of a sudden she didn't tell him, and the guy decided, and there's a lot of conflict coming from that as well. And these are just things that are pretty easy to prove, to record.
And it also shows this example of the contractor or the home repair firm coming to your house. It also shows that Lexigogo can go beyond just validating a verbal agreement or just validating a transaction, because if for example a painter comes to paint my living room, and we make the agreement and we show everything as Jeroen explained, we use all the benefits of the video to really put the content into the contract or the agreement. Then, for example, if the painter comes 2 weeks later to actually do the job, he might look back to the video in order to make sure that the right work is or the right job is done. Mm-hmm. So, and even if he has to change a plug, in his example, he might like make a new video, and if even if you're remotely or working remotely in the office in the city, he might send it to you and show it to you like, listen, we agreed that I would put this plug there, but there's some wires there, I noticed, so we have to put the plug there now. Is that okay for you? Then you could remotely accept it, So there's like, it's even going beyond just validating
stages of the agreement, stages of the process,
Exactly.
the course of performance.
We've also been talking to furniture web shop, actually, but pretty big one, and they make around they make over 1,000 deliveries per month of sofas and tables, etc. And often they have trouble because sometimes the package is too big to get it through the door on delivery. And then people say, yeah, push it anyway, because they are keen on having their new couch in the living room. But then afterwards they declare damage, although they agreed up front, or they say the delivery is damaged, or my door is damaged, or whatever. So there as well, the delivery guy can just tell them to, like, okay, let's do a video contract on this, and then there's proof, and then there's no trouble afterwards. And same goes for insurance companies, etc. So there's a ton of applications, but for us right now, and in terms of marketing, it's pretty we should focus on like pushing a couple of these out, but the use cases are actually limitless.
Yeah, it seems limitless. Anywhere that you need video to prove something seems
or you know, if you don't have pen and paper at hand, like for example in the music world, like a lot of agreements are today still verbal, because they don't want to put everything down on pen and paper, or sometimes they don't have pen and paper at hand. Like in the film, in the film production industry, or in the modeling in the modeling world, a lot of agreements are done on the spot, and sometimes you don't have pen and paper with you, or you're not able to make a whole contract. And also for those, like in the art industry, art galleries and art dealers, you know, if you say that's people.
So I'm just thinking to expanding this further. I'm sure you've thought about this. Obviously, it's tech related. I mean, the tech team has to work on it. But the first thing is you can integrate it somehow into phone calls, so that when you're talking to someone.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And then the other piece is, if it's a longer sort of contract with a lot of details that you discuss, then it can get into where you do voice to text recognition, so that you can then query it later, the specific section, if you need to reference it, right?
Exactly. We cannot disclose too much about it because it might interfere with our patent application. But what we typically see is that we see ourselves not as an app company, but it's a technology company. So we will integrate the technology in a broader range, especially given we know that like, for example, in a couple of years, and those are Cisco statistics, everybody can check them, 80% of all internet traffic will be video. So typically we use more and more video. You get phenomenons like vloggers, etc., that didn't exist 10 years ago. More and more business meetings are held on Skype, like what we are doing today, for example. So it's a little bit ridiculous to then confirm the same thing you told in person to person, to then confirm that by email afterwards, and it's fine. And eventually, and that will not be in 10 years probably, we'll step away from smartphones, and we'll go to mounted devices or something like that. And then imagine you're sitting in the bus. You're really not going to read a PDF like this on your mounted device. It's just not going to happen. Everything we believe, and a lot of people believe the same thing apparently, that everything evolves more and more to video. So why is this the legal business standing still and always wants to have everything in writing, while it's just, this comes from it. They're stuck in the Roman time. That's what.
Right. While two other parties are drafting a contract, you've already completed the contract and are executing it, while they still haven't completed.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's probably more info in ours.
Yes.
I love it.
It might not have all the fancy wording, but the fancy wording just costs a lot of money most of the time. So.
That it can cost a lot of money. And so when we were going back to what Jason had mentioned in the Facebook group, which is intent, Ivan and I do things playfully. We have fun when we're doing it. We want the show to be fun. We want people to enjoy what they're doing. We want people to enjoy. So I did a big smile in the picture, in the video that I took and sent to him, right? And we're goofing. He was goofing off back. Like, doesn't that give somebody reviewing that later on a pretty good idea of what our intent was? Well, these people were fairly happy people at the time. They both said they were going to do this or that. And now one of them is pretending that they didn't say what they were supposed to do. And this is what, I mean, there is really seeing what the parties intended is very important, what the bargain was and how that was executed or how it failed.
Yeah, agreed.
And I can maybe add something more from my background in investment banking. I've done and I've led a lot of negotiations, and being a bad guy is much easier on paper than in person. Mm-hmm. When you are showing yourself and you're sitting in a meeting room or even in a Skype call, there is this barrier to being a bad guy because the other guy is sitting in front of you. Being a bit of a jerk through an email, that's easier because there's more distance. And you see this also with couples. Most of the couples, when they get into a discussion on WhatsApp or in texts, it gets out of hand. But once you are face to face, you solve things. And that's exactly what image does.
Yeah.
We can solve this in videos.
Twitter warriors, there's so many of them.
Mm-hmm. Very cool, guys. So what is the next?
They just cower.
It's true. That's true, right? A lot of people don't want, when they actually have to face it, it's much more difficult for them. So what's the plan here, guys? So I don't want to keep you guys too long. We want you to get back to bed. Yeah. But this is a great app that you're working on. It's one of the smoothest that I've demoed in a long time. So I'm really thrilled with that. I'm glad you guys reached out. What is the plan, the rollout now? Now you've got your, I mean, this is for having an MVP and being about 3 months in, you're quite a ways in here. This is a pretty advanced application you guys have available right now.
Pretty strong execution, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So well, the plan is to move further, to move further on that, in that way. We have like lots of, as I said, we have lots of ID. We have like recently, we really put them together in a roadmap, additional features, additional functionalities, and that goes very wide. It goes from like contract negotiations that you send a video over, then Ivan could, for example, change some things and then send it back like in a drafting negotiation thing on pen and paper. It's quite similar to that. Because you have all this video editing software tools today, things like that.
I think they need to incorporate Manny-Stamp so that they don't have any issues with deepfake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, we're thinking about all this kind of soft and deep features, functionalities. The fact that you can add multiple videos to one contract, so it's like an addendum, like an annex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Things like that. And that will be something like in the first half of next year. We also developing a SaaS application for that, so that and that's mainly for the large corporations. They can integrate it into their applications. We're thinking about contract templates. That's something I think is very important. Yeah. Is that where we want to have like a checklist, a menu that for a specific contract. Mm-hmm. Like for example, for car sales, that the users are guided in the different things that they have to include into the contract.
Oh, instead of writing it, then you speak it in. Yeah.
And then it would be screens, and then it gets stitched in the end. The video gets stitched, and we think that will be very valuable, because video contracting today it's new, doesn't exist actually. So we'll have to educate and inspire our users.
That's great. That's brilliant.
Exactly what we will do, and what we want to do. We don't want to replace lawyers. We want to get them involved and make their job easier and prevent litigation. And in Europe, that's pushed a lot, and I think in the US that can be worth a lot as well. So yeah, that's what we're focusing on for now. And
the fundraising, you know, we're constantly fundraising because we're moving so fast right now, and everything is going so well that we constantly need more money to grow and to keep up. Because
and we didn't really touch on that tonight, Ivan, because we got in the weeds on the application.
Yeah, real quick, let me jump in. So how big's the team right now?
we're now like with 5 people like working on a team, but that's like we're gonna get a new guy on
should
board,
double,
like, yeah. So we constantly growing because we're moving like really fast on different levels.
Are you raising money, friends and family? Are you going beyond that?
We did, yeah, we did in a first round. We did friends and family. Let's say angels. We are doing another angel or pre-seed round right now, which we hope to close by the end of January. Let's fingers crossed.
Is that on a platform, or are you just doing it through your network?
No, we're just doing it through our own network. Okay. And then we will go for Series A in, let's say, 6 to 9 months. We're already in contact with a lot of VC funds. They tend to be pretty interested.
Yeah.
But as you know, as the story always goes, you need traction and users, and to get users, you need to do marketing, because if not, nobody knows that you exist, and that costs a lot of money. So that's what we are spending. That's what we are going to spend most of our money on now, together with tech, because we are a tech company. So yeah.
You're incorporated in Belgium.
For now, we are incorporated in Belgium, but our target markets are UK and US. To start with, we did a market research with a pretty well-known market intelligence company based in London. And also because of the language barriers, that's a little bit of a handicap if we would go for continental Europe, is that we would have to have French, Dutch, German, English, Spanish. We can just do US, UK, and you guys really love to litigate. So I think we can save a lot of money for a lot of people over there, and add a lot of value, and then later on we can start looking at Southeast Asia, for example, which is a huge market with a lot of illiteracy, but it has its own specifics, and and although we provide a pretty nice solution for those people, we think US and UK are the way to go for us first.
So if people want to invest, how do they get a hold of you and figure out what the terms are?
They can go to our website.
Yeah.
You know, they can find all the contact information there. So it's lexigogo.com, and you know, we're in the midst of closing a first tranche of the next round right now. So people have to be fast now, but you know, we're constantly fundraising, and we're planning a big round as well. So this round, as Jeroen said, will be a smaller round. You know, we're targeting $1 million now. Mm-hmm. That's really in the run-up to a Series A that we want to do in Q3 of next year. Where we want to go for a more significant round to really roll out and to conquer the world.
You're really leveraging Jeroen's network then, huh?
Actually, it's not only mine. Lawrence has raised some money in biotech. Well, a lot of money.
Oh, from your time in biotech, okay.
Yeah.
It's a strong pivot going from biotech to this.
Well, in terms of risk aversity, his network is way better than mine, because I got my background's more in leverage buyouts, etc. People buying cash flow, whilst in biotech people just pour in money and then they wait for 7 or 10 years and it might maybe work. So we can give them a little bit more comfort. We're in the middle somewhere.
It's quite refreshing to be in. I have some mandates in the boards of some biotech companies still, and I'm happy to still have this connection. But it's always refreshing to have to be active in different industries.
In a new space, yeah, that's always good.
Because you can take a lot of stuff from the biotech into the tech, and from tech into biotech. It's really refreshing to be in both.
Yeah, very cool. And speaking of the AMI stamp, Ivan, I see that Sujesh has joined us here on the Facebook.
What's going on?
They were Konami Software Core. They were a previous guest with us. They do Ethereum-based blockchain evidence stamp that they have, which is which can be really cool for applying that to the videos. But guys, I want to thank you for being here for episode 40 in so early in the morning. We really very exciting what you're working on. Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you online, offline, etc.
Yeah, so they can go through www.lexigogo.com. And there you can find a contact form. There's our email address and whatever, and then just get in touch, and we are quite responsive.
Yeah, we're on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook. Lawrence is on Facebook since a couple of weeks.
And it's I believe it's Lexigogo app on Twitter.
On Twitter,
Twitter, it's Lexigogo app. Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. So our guests tonight for episode 40, and don't disappear, guys, after the recording is over, but our guests tonight were Lawrence Thunes. Am I saying that correct?
That's close to. You're improving. You're improving every.
Am I improving as we go?
Yeah.
And Joran Maldens, is that closer this time?
It's
all right.
perfect.
They are the co-founders of Lexigogo Video Contracting. Really cool app for our listeners and replay viewers. Check it out, lexigogo.com, Lexigogo app on Twitter. Thank you guys again for coming to episode 40. And look forward.
I gotta say, bonne nuit, ravi de vous connaître.
Ooh, that's some fancy French you speak.
Very good. Thanks for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much, guys. And
all right, get some sleep, guys. This is great.
Stay tuned, everybody. We'll have episode 41 next week. Thanks again.
All right, so